Welcome to the First and 30 podcast, episode 54, and the final episode of season 3 of this NFL season. But Antonino, why don't you tell the chain movement what we're all about again?
We are two 30-something-year-old guys giving you 4 free bird downs in 30 soaring Eagle minutes of NFL football insight to get you through your hump day.
That's right. And this episode, you could say, is dedicated to the newly anointed Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, we didn't pick them right last week, Anthony. You know, we and most of the other pundits were picking Kansas City to win this game. We were wrong, but did we not choose and select Philadelphia as our Super Bowl prediction winner after our free agency episode? So, right?
A whole year ago, we predicted the Eagles to be in this thing. We predicted the Eagles. So maybe stick around for fourth down. We might have another prediction for everybody. So hang in there.
Yep, that's right. So I think today in this episode, in the spirit of the Super Bowl, we'll dissect the big game. We'll kind of tap into the the hidden facts, maybe see what went right, what went wrong for the teams, and then yes, rounding it out, we'll do another sneak peek. Put our Nostradamus hats on and do another Super Bowl prediction. I mean, we got it right though, Anthony. You know, at one point, at the one point that it mattered the most at the beginning of the year, we got it right. We picked Philadelphia. So, in your face, Eagle fans.
That's right. And I know Tim's listening. Congratulations. I had to put that out there. Congratulations, Tim. Congratulations, Scott. We have a bunch of Eagles fans that tune in here. So you got to give credit where credit's due. They did it. They got the trophy.
Do you think Tim and our Eagle friend fans were a part of the rioting in Philadelphia and removing signs and breaking light posts and everything else?
The city was going to burn whether they won or lost, but I'm sure I could get some footage from one of them two to see what happened firsthand.
Tim, you're a good fan, right? You wouldn't do that. Yeah.
Never.
Oh. All right, man. Well, how about we hop into the game and kick off this episode, this Super Bowl edition, with first down and do a recap of the big game. The Eagles won 40-22, but we know our dedicated listeners, the chain movement, they did their due diligence. They watched this. Everybody watched this game, so they know the outcome. So maybe we spend some time dissecting a few things that people might not have noticed. Maybe highlight some things that you and I experienced from a subjective standpoint. You know, what was it about the commercial? Favorite commercial, maybe halftime show, et cetera, et cetera. So you kick us off here, Anthony. You know, you set the tone for this Philadelphia Super Bowl victory and what you witnessed.
Yeah, I want to say hold the phone, okay? We witnessed a three-peat this past weekend, but not exactly what everyone thought. It wasn't Patrick Mahomes. It was the Eagles' offensive lineman, Darian Kinnard, who became the second player in NFL history to win 3 straight Super Bowls. There's a three-peat for you right there.
So he was a backup for the Chiefs, and now he's a backup for the Eagles, and good for him though. He was a part of it. He gets his roses. He gets the ring. That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
But that offensive line too. Did you see the statistic about like the average size of these players? I think they were like the Eagles' offensive line's like 6'6" and 330 pounds on average.
Yep, I saw there's a stat, the biggest O-line in Super Bowl history at 1,688 pounds. And you saw that weight getting thrown around in the trenches on both sides of the ball for the Eagles. That's what it takes to win the big one, the big boys.
Yes, it does. But, something that was interesting just from like the box score perspective too, if you were to look at the box score and see that Philly went 3 for 12 on third downs. Saquon ran for just 57 yards and 25 carries. The Eagles turned it over in the red zone once. They couldn't convert on their only fourth down attempt, and they only averaged 5.1 yards per play, which was less than Kansas City. If you had seen that, you had been like, oh, well, the Chiefs got it done, right? They win this game. No, not even close. Like, it's just crazy. The Chiefs game planned what they needed to, but other areas just couldn't hold up the test.
And if you saw Travis Kelce after the game in the locker room, he was like, we got beat in all three phases. So, yeah, that defense came to play for those Eagles, special teams, and the offense, they just did what they had to do. So they didn't have to be great. They just had to do what they had to do. Hurts only turned the ball over one time, I believe, one interception, but he made some perfect throws with some nice touch. They got the job done. So sealed the deal. Trophy, Lombardi Trophy, Eagles fans. 2 trophies, 2 Lombardi trophies. My goodness, that's crazy to even say out loud.
And Jalen Hurts was the Super Bowl MVP. He probably would have been the Super Bowl MVP just 2 seasons ago, and that one that they lost too. But do you think that was deserving? Like I was just thinking, like, the defense should have just gotten the entire Super Bowl MVP. It shouldn't have been one player. That's the entire defense.
The entire defense. Has that been done before? Because I think they should have whipped that out. Cooper DeJean, the safety for the Eagles, that pick 6. Talk about really, it went from 10 zip to 17 zip. That really turned the tide there. Maybe he should have got it. One of those defensive plays, the sacks, all the plays. I don't know. Defense. They get the award in my book.
Well, Cooper DeJean became the first player in NFL history to record a pick 6 on his birthday the Super Bowl. Yep, he was blanketing Kelce too. He was the assignment on Travis Kelce in this game, and Kelce I think only had like 2 or 3 catches. He was pretty absent up until the fourth quarter when they had some of the garbage time. So Cooper DeJean, happy birthday! What a way to celebrate a birthday too, getting a pick 6 in the Super Bowl. Could you imagine how that would how would you have experienced that moment? You think you might cry, right? You probably would cry.
I mean, in the heat of the moment, the adrenaline's running. I do hope he kept that football and puts it in a case somewhere. I know some people spike the ball, they're not thinking about it, but I'm sure he wants that, and I'm sure I would try and put that on display somewhere. That's a once in a lifetime deal. Good for him. Good for him.
Yep. What else did you see though, man? What was something that was kind of a highlight for you in the game?
There's 2 players specifically that did a lot from college to the pros. Jalen Hurts, he was benched at Alabama for Tua, and then he came to the league. So many doubts. He gets the big trophy. He gets the Lombardi, right? But then Devonta Smith, the receiver, right? He's the 5th player in history to win the Heisman, a national championship, and the Super Bowl. So you got these players who've been doing it since college. At some point, they were doubted, and here it's full circle moment. We talked about this last week. They got Barkley from the Giants. They got Brown from the Titans. So just a lot of players that were doubted at one point in time, and they rubber stamped their ticket to greatness right here. Yep.
And we'll have to go into it, I think, a little bit later in this episode, what this Super Bowl kind of means for these players. What's the legacy, the impact that this is going to have both negatively and positively on both ends for the Chiefs and for the Eagles. But Philadelphia cruising to this one. Before we move into second down, though, Antonino, I mean, it's just wild that the Chiefs didn't score a single point until the fourth quarter. It was 34-0 going through the third.
They didn't even get into Eagles territory until they were down 34-0 with 2 minutes left in the third quarter. Like, this is ridiculous. Mahomes didn't throw his first touchdown pass until it was 34-0. His second touchdown pass, it was 40-6. And the third one came as they were dumping Gatorade on Sirianni's head. So from start to finish, the Eagles just punished them nonstop, threw around Mahomes like a rag doll, and you love to see it.
Yeah, you do. Well, okay, let's hop into second down because we're kind of getting into this like what went right, what went wrong kind of situations, right? So you just mentioned a lot of what went wrong for the Chiefs, right? They they had it in the Eagles' territory not until late in the second half, but it was just the dominance by Philadelphia's defensive line. They had 42 dropbacks. Mahomes was dropping back 42 times. They were able to create a 38% pressure rate, so 15 pressures on Mahomes. 6 sacks, man, with 4-man down linemen. This is never happened before with four guys down and only 3 linemen, and not to rush and create a blitz at all in the game too. It's just wild.
That just really tells you how good these boys are. They drafted these guys. They grew these guys. They developed them. And here they are on the biggest stage, and they just gave it to them every single play. Like you said, not a single blitz was called. Not one blitz the whole game. What does that tell you? A, the offensive linemen aren't doing their job, but like, come on, Mahomes. That game plan was atrocious. They did not run the ball in the first quarter much at all before the game got out of hand. Like, that's maybe Andy Reid's to blame. I don't know.
Well, the offensive line was having issues all season, and the Achilles heel at the beginning of the year for the Chiefs was left tackle. Right? They just could not figure out the left tackle position all season. Eventually, they kick out their All-Pro guard Joe Thuney, have him play left tackle, and he was doing all right down the stretch there. Through the playoffs. But he got exposed in this game, man. It's not like he was going up against Jalen Carter or Brandon Graham, but he was going against, guys like Williams and some of the backups with Philadelphia and just getting planted. There was one play in particular. He just got driven back completely into Mahomes, ended up on his back, just manhandled. And Jawan Taylor has just been, an enigma for them all season. So, the offensive line for Kansas City got exposed, and this was the one thing they just could not figure out all year, and Philadelphia exploited them there.
And, we were on the phone the other day, and we were talking about just this, and I said maybe it's because the week off in between, the Super Bowl's 2 weeks after the conference championships. I believe that the defensive line benefits more from that rest. They're able to rejuvenate, heal up. It helps them more. The offensive line, on the other hand, they rely on communication, chemistry, and working together. And having 2 weeks off, I think it just benefits the defensive line way more. And that could be a reason why the Chiefs seem dysfunctional and the Eagles are really just all over them the whole game.
Oh, so you're giving them kind of an out here, an excuse kind of, man. I don't think they deserve an excuse. Come on. This is their third time in the Super Bowl. They've been playing together all season. I just don't know how much that actually factors into it. I think when it's all said and done, they just played. They were outmatched. And we talked about this last week when we were prepping for this game. On paper, Philadelphia was the more talented team. Consistently all throughout the year. Statistically, they were better. They had the better roster, and they were just a deeper team on defense too. So they were able to get Brandon Graham back. Nobody expected him back, and he played, I think, 15 or 16 snaps. So that's another piece that they were able to just put into the rotation of pass rushers. They were just constantly coming at Mahomes. Now, I want to know, do you think this was Patrick Mahomes' worst game as a pro? And he had his worst game as a pro in the Super Bowl.
Oh, man, no question. Yeah, he might have fluffed up his stats a little bit at the end with the 3 garbage time touchdowns, really. He fluffed up the stats a little bit, but if you were watching that game, you saw the way it started. It was bad.
Well, let's look at the first half, because they were already trailing 24-0 at halftime, right? Mahomes was 6 for 14. He had 33 yards passing and 2 interceptions in the first half. This was the fewest yards he has ever thrown in the first half of an NFL game in his career at this point. Yep. So we could argue he had the worst half of his career. I would just say he had the worst game of his career, because a lot of what he ended up, as you alluded to, what he padded was in the back end when they were down 40-7 or 6 or whatever it was. It was just a game over already.
But I know a couple of the throws, his lower body might have got interfered with, or he got hit a little bit, or he was off balance. But there was no one in the vicinity for the one to Cooper DeJean, or, it was just ugly, not even close, top to bottom, complete failure for the Chiefs, complete, just demonstrative win for the Philadelphia Super Bowl champion Eagles. I'm going to keep saying that the whole episode, Super Bowl champion Eagles.
Are you getting paid to say that? Is your friend Tim paying you right now? Hey, Antonino, if you just name drop Super Bowl champion Eagles, every time you do it, I'll give you $20.
I've been getting heat. I've been given some heat. We didn't talk about the Eagles enough at certain points of the season. I thought they were going to win off season leading up to the year. I changed my Super Bowl pick, so I got some heat for that, and I'm just
deservedly so. I'm glad that the Che movement is keeping you accountable, keeping us accountable. I mean, talk about accountability. First down, we didn't even talk about the halftime show and commercials. Let me just hear it real quick. Give me your reaction. What was your favorite commercial, and what did you think of the halftime show?
The commercials all sucked. I don't think I had
What?
a single commercial
Come
I
on.
liked.
What about the Seal commercial? Did you see that one? That was hilarious.
I know there was one tearjerker one, maybe about pride in your country. That one was kind of nice. I can't remember who it was for. Maybe I can't even remember who. Yeah, bad. None of them were good. They were all bad.
You didn't see the Seal one then? When did you? No, you must have been too busy.
How'd that one go?
You know the singer Seal, right?
Yep.
He was CGI'd as a seal singing "Kiss from a Rose," that song that was in like Batman Forever, whatever, in the 90s.
That's a good song. That is a
yeah,
good
right.
Song.
But
Okay,
it was the weirdest
thing.
thing. Go look that one up. That was funny. I don't know. There was some really bizarre. I feel like AI helped a lot of these marketers out and just, hey, come up with the weirdest, obscure things. And there was quite a few that were like that.
You know, they pay a pretty penny for those commercials. So for the fact that I can sit here and not remember any good ones, that's
they
pretty
didn't
bad
do
on
their
their
job
part.
for you
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, exactly. Point being. And then the halftime show, man, come on. I want to be entertained, and I don't feel like I was entertained. The guy has a couple good songs. Kendrick Lamar, he has a couple good songs for sure. Like the songs, but I wanted to see like Lady Gaga dropping for the ceiling. I want to see Snoop Dogg and Eminem like we saw in years past. Like it was a performance, like stages, costumes, all that stuff.
Okay. Well, I mean, so what's her face? SZA, I think, was like the big, surprise guest singer.
Okay.
I like SZA. SZA's good. And what was it? Serena Williams. Did you see her doing some kind of dance? I think the dance has a name.
The Crip Walk. The Crip Walk.
Okay, the Crip Walk. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So there was like some surprise. I'll be honest. I've never been one for the halftime shows during the Super Bowl. It just doesn't really scratch the itch. I that's usually when I feed.
Yeah, I mean, who's supposed to top the Michael Jackson Super Bowl? Who's gonna top like some of the? We've just seen so much. I just felt like this one was too much choreographed dancing and one guy just walking around the whole time.
What are you talking about?
Good song.
Wait. Okay, too much choreographed dancing. You just said you wanted more choreographed like things happening.
Oh, I mean, Lady Gaga dropping in from the rooftop of a stadium, or Snoop and Eminem going through like a make believe stage and houses. It was just nothing was there.
You wanted
nothing.
to be all odd, like you wanted
something. Surprise me with Usher. Surprise me with someone, something like T-Pain. Let me get somebody out there that reminisces that nostalgia. I don't know. I wasn't a fan.
Well, with that, how about we head into our half-minute halftime show? And even though you're not a fan, we're going to pay homage to Mr. Kendrick Lamar here and have his song playing. But go ahead, kick us off in the half minute.
As Kendrick Lamar says, they not like us. And that's right. Other podcasts, they're not like us. So tune in, join us. We're just getting started now for the off season next week. So tune into that and brave the off season with us. We'll be here.
That's right. We're going to be starting season 4. If you're liking the content, support the channel. It goes a long way. If you give us a like, share it with your sports football loving friends. Make them a part of the chain movement. It goes a long way. So we appreciate it. Antonino, okay, we're going to head into third down here. Talk a little bit more about this game and the fallout of it. We examined why these things happen. We saw the dominance from the defensive line for Philadelphia. Hurts wins the MVP. Mahomes just looked awful. So what is the fallout from this? And I'm kind of curious, from your perspective, where does this Super Bowl rank amongst all Super Bowls? I mean, I don't want to put it in your ear, but to me, this seems like it's in that category of maybe all-time worst Super Bowl games. Sorry, Eagles fans. Look, I'm not saying that the Eagles weren't deserving. It just was not entertaining to watch if you're not an Eagles fan.
Right. It all depends who you ask. I think it was the worst Super Bowl I've seen in my lifetime personally. I feel like a lot of them go down to the last drive, the last couple drives. It comes down to the wire. This one was a blowout. But as far as the biggest discussion I've heard since the game, it's GOAT talk. Is Mahomes no longer in the running to be the GOAT? Is he not the GOAT? GOAT this, GOAT that. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm turning off the lights. Good night. The GOAT talk's over. Patrick Mahomes is just a little sheep in a field that stepped in some mud. It's over. There's no more GOAT talk ever. It's over.
It's not over. It's not over. Right now, they're just changing the narrative. They're pushing a different perspective. But the reality and the fact of the matter is, this is still a guy that has been to, 6 Super Bowls out of 7 seasons as a starter. He's been to 7 AFC championship games as a starter. He has a long way to go. Tom Brady played, 20 years in the league? Mahomes hasn't even reached half of that. Yet, he's already reached a ton of the success that Brady had at that first half. Right now, it's just a simple narrative shift. People are overreacting because he looked awful in this game. But it's probably going to be motivation for him going into next year. Once they draft an offensive lineman, shore up that line, the Chiefs are going to be right back in it. And you know it. You know they are.
Turn off the lights, folks. The party's over in Kansas City. Move the team out of Kansas or Missouri, whatever state they play in. It's over, folks. It's over. Their lease is about to end. Get them out of there. Mahomes, you're not the GOAT. It's done. It's one thing to get to the big game. It's another to be Tom, the big GOAT Brady, the real GOAT, because he's been to all these Super Bowls, 10, and Mahomes already has more interceptions than he had in all 10 of those combined. It's one thing to get there. Brady never lost more than one possession. It's always been a one-possession game. He either wins or it's a one-possession loss. Mahomes got there 2 times and got blown out. And I'm just saying, 0-1 when he played Tom Brady, 0-1 when Tom Brady was announcing the game. So basically, if Tom Brady's involved at all, Mahomes is going to lose. So basically what I'm saying is Brady will forever and always be the GOAT of the NFL.
I'm not arguing with that sentiment. I think Brady is going to still be the best player ever, but this narrative will shift yet again heading into this upcoming season. Right now, it's all reactionary because of the game and how horrible it was. So it's easy to change the scope and be like, he's not even on pace to be the best of all time. We as humans have the tendency of having this very reactionary short-term memory where we just think of the things that just happened. But I guarantee you, once the season's getting ready to start, the conversation will shift again. Can Patrick Mahomes make it to his 7th Super Bowl? Will that cement him as the all-time great if he does? It's going to happen, man. I'm not arguing, though, with you that he shouldn't be in the conversation right now.
Never say never, because I didn't think they'd get this far last year. But I'm going to go and say it. It's not happening. It's never going to happen. And Andy Reid, he might have surpassed Belichick in most games coached in the playoffs with the Super Bowl. But it doesn't matter because Belichick's a better coach than Andy Reid, too. So what's the fallout from this? Mahomes, you're never going to be the GOAT. Andy Reid, sorry, you'll always be second place. Sorry, Chiefs, your team just will be doo-doo from here on out.
All right. So that's the negative side of it. We can't talk bad about this. Can't all be about the Chiefs, right? What about the Eagles? What does this mean for the Eagles? Are they preparing to situate themselves to set up their dynasty? I mean, if you think about it, Philadelphia has a great formula right now. They've paid a lot of money on the offensive side of the ball, but they've recently drafted a lot of studs. I mean, when you think of Jalen Carter, Cooper DeJean, Kenyon Mitchell, a lot of really young dudes on that side, they have to make a decision on Zach Bond in the offseason here. Are they going to give him a big contract, first team All-Pro? But regardless, the Eagles are going to be able to reload with this roster again next year. I think it's dependent on Saquon Barkley. How much tread does he have left in those tires? But what about the Eagles, man? What are you thinking about them and their legacy moving forward here?
The Eagles are set up for long-term success. If you look at their contract breakdowns, yes, you have the quarterback up top, but they're consistently and gradually less from there. So it's an evenly split out cap space situation. They have long-term deals on some guys. I think they can easily be back. Like you said, this could be a dynasty. They were at the Super Bowl just a couple short years ago against the said Chiefs. So they've been there a couple times in short memory. They could easily be back. They're situated for long-term success. And hey, they have an Italian-American head coach. So, hey, never count the Italian-American head coach out of anything. I'm looking forward to opportunities for all Italian-Americans out there to be head coaches and get to the Super Bowl. There's that. There's the Eagles for you.
Okay. Well, and I'm also curious, before we move into fourth, with Jalen Hurts, this guy has received so much criticism by pundits, by you, as well as others. Is it no longer justified? I mean, going into this, I think I even said that if the Chiefs were able to stop Saquon, you're going to see Hurts be able to open this up. They have the playmakers on the side. Hurts is a very capable guy. I mean, he took control of this game on offense. He led the team in rushing, had some great drives, great passes. Outside of that one interception where he threw off his back foot when the pressure came, he had a great game. It was just very clean, only 5 incompletions. So what about this? What does this mean for Hurts?
Hurts better hope they don't disallow the tush push, because that really, down there on the goal line, they go to tush push. Everything's tush push, this and that for short yardage. If they get rid of tush push, I'm curious what happens. But Jalen Hurts, yes, did what he had to do this game. Didn't do anything crazy spectacular. He had 2 good throws with nice touch. Did what he had to. Not crazy stats. And that's all they needed. And it's knowing your place. You don't want to say he's a game manager, but he did what he had to do.
It seems like you're alluding. Oh, wow. Okay. See, look, Eagles fans, I'm trying to butter him up a little bit, trying to get him to say the things that you want him to say, but he's not budging. He's a fickle guy over here. Antonino's a little hard-headed.
That's right. But hey, Coach Sirianni, Italian-American head coach to win the Super Bowl. Congratulations to him.
Congrats to Sirianni. All right, man. Let's head into 4th down here. It's never too early to think about next season, right? So will either of these teams be back in the Super Bowl from a year from now? Will there be different teams? How about we go and do our way too early picks for 2025, and we can revisit this episode too and see if we just got lucky and we're able to pinpoint who's going to be in it. But let me know, who do you think is going to be in the Super Bowl next year, hoisting the Lombardi?
It's clear as day. I mean, come on, folks. You've been with us how long? It's going to be one team and one team only representing the AFC, and that's the Cincinnati Bengals. Case closed.
Oh, gosh.
End of discussion. There's no debate there. That's just the way it's going to be.
Oh, boy.
But on the NFC, that's where things get a little interesting, okay? Yeah, the Eagles are made for success, but there's one team that's under the radar, and that's the Green Bay Packers. They finished the year 11-6. They had one point in the season where they were hitting on all cylinders. A little bump in the road. I really feel like Jordan Love will come into his own next year. Josh Jacobs ran the ball well. And if they get a number 1 prime, hands down number 1 receiver, they could really be good. So I'm looking forward to them, especially with the Lions regression and the Vikings regression. The Packers out of the NFC. There you have it.
Interesting. Not surprised by your Bengal pick. I was optimistic and hopeful maybe that this episode you would release some of that bias and just go with the actual rational choice here. It won't be Cincinnati, Antonino. I'm telling you that right now. And that's because they have a division that they'll have to play the team that I think will represent the AFC. And they'll have to play them twice a year. You know where I'm going with this.
No. Make it stop.
Okay, you know where I'm going with this. The Baltimore Ravens are situated right now to win. I think they have another year out of Derrick Henry. They'll be able to attack the offensive line in the draft, maybe add a few pieces on defense to shore up that secondary. That looked a lot better as the season progressed. But I think Baltimore, they had it in the making this year. They fell short to Buffalo. I believe in Lamar. I think he's going to get a Super Bowl with the Ravens. So I'm picking them in the AFC. And then in the NFC, I had a tough time with this. I'm not even thinking about the Cowboys. Don't you worry, Antonino. I don't let my bias seep through. Dallas isn't even close to it. But I've been picking Detroit for too long. I still think they're a talented team. They're going to get a lot of their defensive players back that were injured. If they can stay healthy next year, regardless of them losing all their coordinators, I still believe Detroit has the talent and everything they need to take that next step. They're so young. I mean, they have so many young playmakers that are just the defining factors here. So Baltimore, Detroit, calling it.
There you go. Time will tell, folks, but we were right last year, so who's going to be right this year? We shall see.
I think I've been right most of these predictions. Well, hey, since this is our last episode, Antonino, and we're kind of looking back on this season now, why don't we just spend a moment or two and share out some of these achievements from the podcast, to reminisce, go down memory lane, and what brought us here and some of the things that we can highlight here at First and 30.
Gosh, Don, you're going to make me tear up here. There's just so much to highlight, but I want to highlight you guys, the ones with the AirPods in, the one with the headphones in, the people on Spotify who listen to us every hump day. My goodness, I want to thank you guys. Instagram blew up to 1,300 followers. unbelievable. I never believed that would ever happen. We started a YouTube. Our faces are on YouTube. People actually watch that. That's kind of crazy to think about. We went viral on social media. We had one video that had 769,000 views. We had a reel that went viral. This is nuts, Nick. I don't know what to say. This is nuts.
And I mean, not only that, Antonino, we've been going at this for a little over a year. We celebrated our 1-year anniversary of First and 30 back in November, which I thought was an awesome milestone because usually this stuff kind of fizzles out, like passion projects, hobbies, those sorts of things fizzle out. Despite me not being able to speak there. But no, I'm proud of the dedication, the discipline over the past year.
Oh, no. You leave that soda can open on the counter, it fizzles out. But us, we don't fizzle out, all right? We spent all the holiday seasons together. We sat here and wore costumes for Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, you name it. We were there for it with you guys. I couldn't think of a better group, the Chain Movement, to spend the year together. And we're always working on ways to make this better for your ear holes and for us to share all this football insight. We cannot wait to keep this going through the offseason.
Wow, Antonino, I feel the emotion there. I mean, we even got to go to Jera's World and scout a football game and take some notes, bring it back to us for the podcast so we could have some firsthand perspectives when we're talking about these games. And not only that, we introduced the Odds Father as well as a little bit of a fantasy segment. So you were able to share some of your betting knowledge as a degenerate gambler that you are with the Chain Movement and hopefully got some people some money. Meanwhile, I was sharing my little tidbits about fantasy football advice. I won a championship. I want to know if anyone else in the Chain Movement won a championship just from listening to the podcast or just, consuming some of this information. So a lot of cool stuff happened this year, man. First and 30's going strong. We're putting a wrap to season 3, putting a bow on it, celebrating the Super Bowl with the Eagles here. And I think to close this whole season out in a good fashion for this 2-minute drill, Antonino, how about we focus on the NFL season awards and cover all the big winners from the 2024 season, what they won and who they are?
Let's kick it off. We got the FedEx Ground Player of the Year, and yes, it's none other than Jamar Chase, the Triple Crown winner.
And we also got the Hall of Fame inductees. Eric Allen, Antonio Gates, Jared Allen, and Sterling Sharp are the short list of 4 guys going to the Hall of Fame in the 2025 inductee ceremony.
For the NFL FedEx Air Player of the Year, Josh Allen took that one home.
And then the Walter Payton Man of the Year award goes to Eric Armstead, defensive end with the Jacksonville Jaguars. Come on up, Eric.
Assistant Coach of the Year, now head coach, Ben Johnson of Detroit.
Offensive Rookie of the Year, Jaden Daniels, QB, Washington Commanders, led his team to the NFC Championship game.
He put on a show just like the Defensive Player of the Year, Pat Surtain, the cornerback from Denver. Heck of a year.
Shout out to Sammy Adams. I know he was super stoked about Pat Surtain this season. And the Offensive Player of the Year, no surprise here, the guy that just won a Super Bowl, Saquon Barkley, running back Philadelphia Eagles, with his 2,000-yard rushing season, very deserving of Offensive Player of the Year.
And my favorite award, the Comeback Player of the Year, none other, Joseph Leesboro, quarterback for everyone's Cincinnati Bengals.
Well, the Defensive Rookie of the Year was Jared Verse, the edge rusher out of Los Angeles with the Rams. He was wreaking havoc in the playoffs. He was being really disruptive in that game against Philadelphia, too. Very deserving for the Defensive Rookie of the Year award.
Coach of the Year, Kevin O'Connell. What a year with those Minnesota Vikings as they finished with a pretty awesome record.
Yep, and then the MVP, the Big Kahuna, the award of all awards. After much debate and speculation, it was given to Josh Allen, quarterback Buffalo Bills.
To no surprise to one of us here, Josh Allen becomes the third MVP to not be named a first-team All-Pro.
You got that, man.
Mouthful.
You got it. There you go.
Oh, man. What a season, everyone. What a season. I couldn't think of a better host here to spend this with than the voice of radio, Nick Ocasio, ladies and gentlemen. Gosh darn, this has been great. I can't wait to be on here for the off season. And as always, we'll see you on the next one. The next one is the best one.
I echo the sentiment back to you, Antonino. Super grateful to you and the Chain Movement for spending season 3 of First and 30 together. Thank you all for joining us for another episode of the podcast. Until next Wednesday, remember, when your number's called, no matter the odds,
let's go for it.